Each and every day, enjoy the Simple Six menu at Subway. An entire made-for-you meal featuring one of 6 6-inch sandwiches like the Italian BMT or Black Forest ham, with any bag of chips and a 21-ounce drink, all for only $6. Subway. Eat fresh.
The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The BS Report. The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. It is Monday morning here in Southern California. We won an Emmy. We won a real Emmy for 30 for 30 Shorts, which is behind my right shoulder if you're watching the video show. So we're going to brag about that all the week. And here's somebody who's going to win an Emmy at some point. Maybe this year, maybe next year. Who knows? Nathan Fielder, how are you?
Hi. Very generous of you to say, but Season
2 of Nathan For You ends Tuesday night, which is tomorrow night when we're taping this, on Comedy Central, and then it might just go away. I mean, it's going to take you years to come up with more stuff.
Season finale.
This is season finale. Anyone get shot?
Anyone get shot?
Does anyone get shot in the season finale?
Cameras.
Cliffhanger? Okay.
No deaths in the season finale. It's one of my favorite episodes, though.
Oh.
And if for people who've seen season 1, there's a couple people from season 1 that return.
Callbacks.
Yes. Callbacks. So
I don't want to guess, but because I don't want you to spoil it, but I have a couple ideas.
All right.
There's a couple people from season 1 that
you would want to see
sense.
again.
It would make sense.
This is someone you do want to see again.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. So when we first talked to you, you had run one episode.
Yeah.
I had seen 3.
You were an early adopter.
Well, I had seen 3.
On the bell curve.
Right. Louis Kay, who is the PR person for Grantland and my buddy, and who also does PR for you, he was very bullish on your show and mailed me the first 3.
That's great.
And I fell in love with it, and we had you on. I demanded that you come on.
Yeah.
And since that happened, the show, season 1 was, I would say, a cult favorite. It rated pretty well. And then the Dumb Starbucks thing happened.
We've got slightly more viewers.
Right. And then Dumb Starbucks was like kind of the tipping point.
Yeah, that happened, I guess, in between seasons. And yeah, I guess that was definitely got a lot of mainstream attention, which helped, I think, second season. More people were aware, and so that was cool.
But you're still in the sweet spot where a lot of people are watching, but it's not too many people. You can still do all of your things, and the majority of normal people, like, you can kind of sneak around and.
That's true. Yeah, I think it's important to never really be that popular, and seems not to be an issue for me.
Well, and I'm surprised.
No matter how hard I try.
I thought after Dumb Starbucks it might be bad.
Level.
Well, after Dumb Starbucks, because that was on every TV station.
Yeah, I think it's because when it was a mystery and people didn't know, I think it got attention of a lot of different outlets because the business kind of news was into it because it was a business. Then the food kind of people were into it. Art people. When no one knew what it was, kind of, you had everyone covering it. So.
Well, because they thought Banksy was involved.
They thought it was perhaps Banksy, and we kept it a mystery for the first few days, or, I think it was like 3 days or 4 days where we just opened it and didn't really say anything. But we had this email. I almost screwed it up. I almost screwed the whole thing up.
What happened?
We had an email address. We had a frequently asked questions sheet so people could understand about parody law because that's what we use to do it.
Yep.
We said we can put the dumb in front of Starbucks because it's considered a parody. And, we had a whole frequently asked questions thing that people could use and the media was kind of using to report on. But we had this email, dumbstarbucks@gmail.com at the bottom for any requests or questions, people could email. And it was just a Gmail account that I created, but I wasn't responding to anything from that. Like, it just there just to see what was coming in, I guess, or see who was interested. Because the whole thing was kind of a bit of an experiment.
Right.
But on the first day, I got this email from someone at ABC News, like the local ABC News affiliate. And for that time period, I had the Dumb Starbucks Gmail forwarded to my email account, like my own email account, just so I didn't have to check both. And it came through as just most people wanted an interview or something. They're like, could we talk to the owner or something like that? And this one, I guess, just said, do you have any like photos of the outside of the store? We want to put it on our broadcast. So because it was not an interview request, it was just they wanted a photo, I thought, oh, okay, I'll just send them a photo. And I sent it from the wrong email, like, because it was forwarded to mine. I forgot I was in my account.
So you sent it from your email.
Right. I responded from my personal email.
Oh.
And it says my name in it, Nathan Fielder. And I panicked and I was like, oh man, I screwed this whole thing up. And I called the producers and I was like, I called Michael Coleman, who, I make the show with, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I screwed everything up. And then at that point, I had the idea of like, well, maybe if I sign back into the Dumb Starbucks email and just keep responding, it'll bury it. Like, and she won't see my name.
Right.
So I signed back into that email account and I just...
You spammed her?
Well, she responded right away. I sent a photo and she was like, thanks for the photo. Like, responded to my name. So I just went back into the Dumb Starbucks email and I just said, was that good? Here's another photo. Here's more. And I sent like 6 emails after in the hopes like it would bury it and she would notice. And then I just cross my fingers and hope that they wouldn't kind of say anything because we wanted to keep it a mystery for a little bit.
So she never noticed?
She never noticed. They didn't say. I mean,
now she's been fired.
Well, that's maybe I don't want to.
No, that's unbelievable.
Specifically. But yeah, it was kind of this thing because it took so much planning and so much setup and just this dumb little mistake.
Could have sabotaged.
I mean, people probably, people sometimes say like, oh, it must take so much planning. It's just like all this stuff is basically comes down to like an idiot me at a computer, like looking at emails, and I could screw this whole thing up.
Right. How much was that? The most planning you've put into one of the episodes you've done?
That was. It took a lot of planning, but because we didn't get. It was just basically we got a store and opened it up and just started selling coffee. We didn't have to get we didn't get health permits or anything like that.
Right.
And I think because of that, it didn't take as much planning as it normally would to open a coffee shop.
You had cups and stuff and you had signs. Yeah. That takes a couple weeks at least.
Yeah, no, it was, the art department on the show did an amazing job at replicating an actual Starbucks and kind of taking photos. And there was a lot of thought, put into the exact elements we want in there, the location. But yeah, it definitely took a lot of planning and it took kind of a week to set up the actual store. I'd say, yeah, it was the Claw of Shame though was probably one of the more, that one took a lot.
The most elaborate?
Yeah.
For those of you listening who for some reason haven't seen the show yet, and I don't understand why, but what Nathan does is he helps people with business ideas.
I go to real small businesses and then I give them kind of unorthodox ideas to make more money.
Right. And what's great about it is the ideas are definitely unorthodox, but sometimes they're really good ideas, or they're interesting, or there's just enough of a good idea. No, but I mean, when you watch it, you're like, that it actually could work. Like, why wouldn't they just do that? Then other times they'll be intentionally over the top, like when you had the one recently about the baby being born in a cab. Like that, I think was intentionally not one that could actually happen in real life.
Press.
Well, yeah, you got it. But
that's an important element is that because I'm actually pitching these to real businesses, these people aren't idiots. So if I can't argue, even if it's outlandish, if I can't argue some benefit, then it's tough for them to even go along with it or try it out.
How much of it is the people just want to be on TV and they're willing to trust you because they know there's cameras?
Well, I think there's an element of like, I think if there's a crew and cameras around them, I think that helps to make me seem more credible.
Yeah.
Because they're probably thinking, well, this guy must know what he's doing. Why would he have a show?
Right. And Comedy Central, do you drop the Comedy Central?
We do try to avoid like people that specifically want to be on TV, because you do get a lot of those people in LA.
Yes.
And I find that, those people are they're so excited to be on camera that almost what you say to them doesn't matter, and they'll just be like, sure, for anything.
Right.
So I think we definitely put in effort to try to find kind of relatable people for the most part, or, people that will take the idea seriously and question it, in a reasonable way.
Right.
We have done some segments about people who just want to be on TV, but it's tough when you get too many of those people.
So ideally, they've never seen the show.
Yes, yeah.
And how many did you do before obviously this concept, you've sold it to Comedy Central, you started doing the show.
Yeah.
You don't totally know it's going to work as you're doing it. You're hoping it does. At what episode were you like, this works, I can do 75 of these?
Well, the big moment, I still don't feel like that, but...
Well, how many have you done now, 20?
We've done 16.
Okay.
Yeah. The big moment, I think, was when we shot the pilot, and the first segment we were shooting was where I go to a yogurt shop, and in order to get press through, I suggest they have a controversial flavor, so
right.
I have them sell a poo flavor frozen yogurt. And
big hit with my kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's definitely one that aims for that demographic.
So that one worked.
But, that was kind of a big moment where that was kind of, I felt like, the test of this whole concept. I had no idea in that moment if I was going to just be kicked out and the guy was just going to dismiss it. I didn't really know how it would work. So I remember even in that moment, I was very nervous because I felt like the whole show was riding on how he reacts to this. And after he I argued it and he seemed to be okay with trying it out, I think that was the first moment where we all realized, oh, this might actually work. And as we shot the rest of the segments in the pilot, I think we started to feel like, oh, this could actually work. Yeah.
The person you are on the show isn't 100% you. I would say it's a variation to some degree. I don't want to call it a character, but it's maybe embellished versions of you.
How am I now different? How am I?
Well,
what's a sense you get?
Well, when you're on the show, your goal is you're provoking people to some degree.
Yeah, I think it's
to be uncomfortable.
It's not me. I wouldn't in real life with no cameras, I wouldn't let moments get that uncomfortable.
Yes,
I try hard to make sure the people I talk to in real life are comfortable. Yes. I think. But in a way, I can relate. I think my life has just been a series of uncomfortable social moments, or like those are the most vivid memories in my head. So I think it comes very natural to me. And in a way, I kind of feel like I have to put in effort, more effort to make things smooth and comfortable than to have things be uncomfortable in a way.
Interesting. It's easier for you to gravitate to uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's just, I don't know. It's like when you talk to someone, if I finished talking and then you were just kind of like, you didn't really say anything. In real life, I would feel this pressure to fill the silence and keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
And I talk to people all the time where I feel just, I kind of feel this pressure and I feel like the burden's all on me sometimes. And it takes work in that way. Whereas in the show, and really, I have nothing to say maybe, or I am uncomfortable, but I'm trying just to not make it weird. Mm. But in the show, I think if a moment like that happens, I'll just let it happen and I'll let the silence happen and then maybe put it on them to continue. And a lot of people are clearly, uncomfortable in a lot of moments just with what to say, you know, in a certain moment or how to respond. And yeah, I don't know.
So you're milking the silence and you're banking on them to try to fill the silence, and then they're going to go down some sort of rabbit hole.
Well, I guess that's the difference between me in real life and me in the show is I think I don't, like, I'll let moments get a little bit weird. I swear this is a compliment, but you've done 16. I feel like the second season, you've figured out, it's almost like you figured out how to pounce on any chance for an uncomfortable moment. Like you did a few episodes, and now it's like if somebody throws the fastball over the plate for you, you're hitting it. And you're in these different episodes where if somebody stumbles the wrong way, you're just there. Like you know how to get there every time now. Maybe.
Does that make sense?
Or that's all that you end up seeing.
That's a good point.
I mean, part of the thing is that, we, not everything works, and the stuff that doesn't work, you don't end up seeing. But, for a scene that you might see in the show that's 30 seconds, we might shoot half an hour or 20 minutes, of stuff. And most of that stuff is not funny at all.
Right.
So it's, you try different angles, you try different approaches, see what works.
What was the one with the lawyer when he signed something but didn't realize it?
Right. That was in the dumb Starbucks episode.
Oh, yeah. And
I put a clause in the contract that says if Starbucks happens to sue, that he'd be liable.
And he didn't realize it.
And it was in the appearance release that people sign as kind of like a standard appearance release for being on camera. So we gave it to him to sign, and he didn't read it. He just was like, "Oh, standard, I guess." And
which was funny because he was a lawyer and he didn't read the contract.
Well, we had this. He said this amazing thing as he was doing it, and we kept the flashback in the show to like when he was signing it because I had the camera people film him while he was signing it just to have evidence of that. But he said, "What kind of a lawyer am I signing I haven't read?" Like he was kind of saying that as he's signing it. Like, what kind of lawyer am I signing?
And you're like gold.
Well, so I didn't even know that happened because I wasn't in the room.
Oh.
But then one of my editors found that piece of footage, and it really made me laugh. It's so funny.
God.
But yeah, he just signed it, and then in the scene, I said, "Well, you're liable too, I guess, if Starbucks sues." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I showed him the contract, and I was like, "Well, can I have it back?" And he wouldn't give it back to me. And it just became this very like childish thing where he was trying to keep a piece of paper from me.
So you knew as that's going on, you're like, this will make the show. This is going to a really good place.
I mean, it's hard to think about it. It's probably going through my mind where it's like, this is crazy that this worked.
Yeah. Is good.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know until later.
My favorite, I hate saying favorite because when people do this with me with my column, then I take it personally that they didn't like other columns. So it's always like, I don't want to say this is my favorite, but the two that I think I laughed the hardest at, and it's really hard for me to laugh because I just feel like I'm always one of those people that are just like, I really enjoy it, but I rarely laugh out loud. But your show makes me laugh out loud, which is rare.
Oh, that's good.
But the two that killed me were when you had to give yourself the award to justify when you did, you had the film festival.
Oh, the souvenir shop episode. Yeah.
And you had the girl in it, and
right,
that just slayed me. And then the Pinks just recently.
Right.
Which I love for a variety of reasons. One, because I drive by Pinks all the time and there's a huge line. But then you once again stumbled into comedy gold with this one guy who just decided to blatantly skip the line and violate your rules.
Yes.
And explain what happened.
Well, that was one. Yeah, I had this popular hot dog stand in LA. I guess they always have
super
a line.
Popular.
So my idea was basically they're losing customers because people who just want a hot dog but are in a hurry will drive by, see the line, and just continue on. They won't stop. So I said they should have a system for people that are in a hurry to get a hot dog to basically skip the line, cut to the front. And I made up certain things that you could. It had to be a good reason because everyone would say they're in a hurry. You know what I mean?
Doctor's appointment, funeral.
Yeah, doctor's appointment, job interview, funeral. One, I forget the other one, and then one was
like 5.
If you're an air traffic controller who's late for work. Yeah,
that was good.
I think driving kids to school.
I
think was one. And so I had these on a list, I was showing people, and
you were interviewing them to see if they should jump the line or not.
Yeah, and a couple people actually who were there throughout the day. Like one woman was actually one guy had a doctor's appointment, and one woman. It's so hard when these absurd things happen in the show. It's so hard to convey them in a way that seems believable unless you spend a lot of time with it. And there was a woman who actually was going to a funeral, but it's too weird. Like, there's no way it would just seem set up or like it's fake.
Yeah.
So this woman came, we kept it short, but when we showed it to some people, they assumed she was just lying to get to the front. But she really did, and there was this long sequence where she proved it, and we looked it up online. It was just too much to leave in for like that beat in the story. But it was just one of those crazy things that we put funeral kind of as a joke, and then
even the fact that somebody would stop at Pink's for a hot dog on the way to a funeral
it was crazy. Yeah, it was so crazy. But anyways, this guy, the whole kind of shoot depended on someone hopefully lying. In a weird way.
And then if it goes to another level, it's the right kind of person who lied. And you stumbled
so
into
we
comedy gold.
Had this guy who lied and said he had a job interview, doctor's appointment. And he was clearly lying. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But then we followed him, and he didn't end up going to the doctor. He went to see a movie. So I did this basically... I said at the beginning to the Pinks people that, my goal is to protect their brand at all costs. So, I went and I defended their brand by tricking him into thinking he was the 10 millionth customer, then taking him out to sea on a boat. I said he won a lobster lunch for one at sea.
You taught him a lesson.
Yes, and I taught him a lesson.
And that guy was like out of like a Christopher Guest movie.
I mean, he
couldn't have been more perfect.
Yeah, he was I had a lot of people texting me after being like, was that a guy for real?
Was that an actor?
It was, totally.
What were your...
real. It just showed up.
My daughter loved that one. And it's funny watching these. I was telling you before we started taping, I try to watch stuff with my daughter because she's 9. I feel like that's a good age for formative comedy. Yeah. Even though she doesn't get most of it. You get some of it, and by osmosis, something's going to get in there. But the Pinks one and the dumb Starbucks one were the two that killed her, because especially the dumb Starbucks. But it's funny, like what they see as funny compared to what is funny. Like she just loved that dumb was on the cup. She thought that was like, like how do I get a dumb cup? Yeah. Do they sell those? How do I get those? And
that's good.
Who were your influences?
Pretty immature humor, a lot of it.
Yeah, but it's the road to being funny. I think eventually.
That's cool. I like when kids can watch the show and like it too. I think that's funny. You haven't crossed any horrible taste lines. I don't feel like maybe once. What?
I don't know. There was one that I remember thinking uh-oh. I can't remember what it was though.
Yeah, I mean it's tough to you try to I feel like I care a lot about how the people feel when we're shooting, and I don't want anyone to get upset, and I want people to leave feeling good about the experience. So
the Pinks guy didn't leave feeling good.
I think by the time he finally left, he was okay, and I think he was one of those guys that I think liked being on camera. You know what I mean? I think he kind of enjoyed the glamour, and I don't know, a lot of people in LA are aspiring to be in showbiz in some way. And so I feel like they kind of like that. And I feel like he left feeling okay.
So it's like the same dynamic of when people would go on People's Court or, the Maury Povich show or something, where they didn't even care as long as a camera was filming them and they get to tell on television.
Well, some people are like that, yeah. I mean, some people that just...
Because that guy did not come off well on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like no matter how hard we would even try to filter stuff out, it would be tough too. I mean, I don't know. I guess from my perspective, it's hard to know if someone doesn't come off great. The stakes are so low. I mean, it's kind of it's not like he lied about something terrible. Which I found so funny is that he just lied to get a hot dog, kind of like a white lie that people maybe tell. but just that I took it so far, I felt like was the stupid thing.
When you did the film festival, how did you decide on the other clip was going to be the farting clip? Was there like 20 different options for that?
Something that the web would beat, which was the competing film. So we just wanted.
I love it.
I felt like, although in the end I did feel like that was actually, when you play that farting film in a theater setting, it actually takes on meaning maybe that you don't think you would see on YouTube.
Definitely.
And I actually felt like the judge was a little bit debating it. I was worried at a certain point, like, am I actually going to lose? Yeah, I started to get concerned.
Where did you find that judge?
We wanted someone who had credits, because the logic was like an award doesn't mean anything, if there's not credible people behind it. So we just wanted someone that was associated with an Oscar maybe, or an Oscar-winning film.
Right.
So we've got the second unit script supervisor from Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah.
Which was like 40 years ago.
And then he had a thing because I guess he wasn't credited on that. So he wanted me to mention a different one that he was credited on, he said in the thing. He was a very nice guy and just very patient and really actually put thought into both movies, and was kind of encouraging off camera. It was really, I don't think he realized I was the person in the web.
Seriously?
I couldn't tell because he was asking, like, who was that filmmaker? And I don't know.
You didn't put two and two together?
Well, maybe because you'd be like, you're hosting this festival and you're in one of the movies. It's up for. He didn't mention that, so I would think.
Did you put the web online?
Yeah, that's online.
So anyone
you can watch
that?
Yeah.
The web's very strong. It's the strongest effort since The Room with Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, thank you,
yeah,
Bill.
It was really good. I think you could have blown it out for 90 minutes. Who were your influences? Because I watched the show and I was like, sometimes I think like there's a lot of Andy Kaufman in here, but you weren't old enough to remember like vintage Andy Kaufman, right?
Well, I've seen, I guess when you start doing comedy, you start looking more
around.
You start looking back at stuff. I love him. I think he's great. I mean, I pick up things from, it's hard to know. I mean, growing up, I watched a lot of Saturday Night Live. I watched Seinfeld. I remember when Mr. Show came on, I was really into that. I was showing my friends. But these are just the things you kind of watch that kind of seep into your brain. But then also, my parents, maybe watching them interact, I feel like I take mannerisms and stuff.
That's interesting. Like what kind of
mannerisms? And just like other people. I don't know. I guess my mom, I always thought, had this thing where she doesn't, how do I explain it? My mom, I guess, she's very good social. She's one of those people that could, meet anyone and then be their friend within like 5 minutes. Yeah. And I don't have any of those skills somehow. But she's very good at, she has this thing where even if she finds something funny, she doesn't want to laugh, if she feels it might be inappropriate. So it's this weird thing where you can tell she finds it funny and you can tell she's like holding back laughter, but she doesn't want to like give it validation. And I found that such a funny thing. And I think that's like, I don't know. I felt like a lot of what I did was just trying to get her to break,
Yeah.
So as a kid, I would just work hard to try to do dumb stuff that she was clearly dumb, that she would think was beneath her humor level, but to make her laugh at that would be kind of a challenge.
So breaking the comedy poker face.
So that was like a training ground maybe, because she was a tough audience because she had her own ideas of like what's inappropriate, what's morally correct. And she would let that guide stuff where sometimes I just laugh at things and I'm like, why am I laughing at this? This is not good to laugh at. But I do, so I don't know.
That's funny because like my dad has a big family and every Christmas they'd get together and give gifts and be this 5-hour process. And my dad always had these good one-liners.
Yeah.
That would make everyone laugh. And I was always like, someday I'm going to have.
So you watch,
Yeah, I was like studying
funny from
my dad, who's not like the funniest guy on the planet, but he's funny, compared to the rest of my family. But you kind of study that and think like, Yeah, that's where I want to be, where you make everybody in the room.
I mean, I kind of think that's the main model is you look at funny people and
In your family.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, I think then you gain self-awareness. Not to change the subject, but last time, I didn't know you did all the 30 for 30 things last time.
Oh.
And I'm obsessed with those. Like I had seen.
We're ready for you to do one. You want to do a short?
Oh, maybe. Oh, my God. That wasn't why I brought it up.
Look, there's the Emmy.
I know. Congratulations.
People take them seriously.
But the Steve Bartman one. Catching Hell.
Catching Hell, yeah.
That was so incredible. That guy is, I guess for anyone, like people should watch that. I guess they haven't seen it, but that poor guy, what's happened to him since then?
Still missing.
Really?
Yeah.
No one has ever talked to him since then?
He like changed his name, and somebody on ESPN.com tried to chase him down too, but it's just disappeared. I guess he disappears until the Cubs win the World Series, maybe. The irony with that guy was that he was like the biggest Cubs fan.
Yeah.
You know, and was just thrust into the worst possible situation. Hey, that was one of my favorite ones just because I think the whole scene when it happens, and it's one of the first years where there was video.
Yeah.
You just had people actually with camera phones or whatever they had, like taping it, and you just get the instant reaction and watch it snowball. If it had been 5 years earlier, you wouldn't have had that stuff, you know?
I think about that all the time. For some reason, it's just the worst thing. And I guess it's tough because he probably could have come forward and just talked, but he's probably just a private guy, and it's just the worst thing. The town turned on him. They should do something there, right? They should do some sort of like parade, like come out, like we love you.
I think the Cubs fans are still mad at him. I don't think they're ready to forgive yet.
But the craziest thing was it was just one out in a game that wasn't even the final game.
And 9 other things happened after. But
yeah.
Baseball's weird. Baseball's like blackjack. There's weird moments that just feel like they shift the karma of the entire event, and you can't describe it unless you're in the park. Because there's been Red Sox games I've been to where something happened and it shouldn't have changed it, but you felt it, and everyone kind of knew.
Really?
Yeah, and it's unexplainable.
Well, it's also, I mean, the TV people, they kept doing close-ups of him for
the game. Over and over again.
It was brutal.
They didn't help his cause. The worst part was he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
And he's listening to the radio broadcast, which is on like a 7-8 second delay.
And they've moved on from that, though. I thought the radio, like they didn't.
Right.
On the radio, they weren't talking about him anymore.
But he listened, and then eventually at some point he heard, like the guy somebody said something. And I think that's when, and you could just see, his body just starts sinking. Because he can hear because he couldn't really hear the people yelling at him because he had his radio on. And then people started throwing stuff at him, and it was brutal. Like, that guy almost got killed leaving the stadium.
Yeah, and I love all the breakdowns in the documentary where they took the rest of the fans out and showed the different angles of the catch.
Yeah.
And how, like, anyone kind of would have caught that.
That was directed by Alex Gibney, who's probably one of the top 3 or 4 documentary directors in the Planet film.
Yeah, well, good job if you're listening. Very, very enjoyable. Sorry to change the subject.
Well, you made me think, though, you were talking about that. We were at the Collectors Convention a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
We have a big photo essay coming this week about it. But that's the kind of territory that's kind of in your wheelhouse with these people. It's just kind of stunning. There's just 20 aisles of booths and all these people who their job is just like they're selling Mickey Mantle cards from 60 years ago, or they're selling unopened Topps boxes. And they're all people that need a Nathan for You business suggestion, because you walk away thinking, like, how do these people make money? Like, it just dumbfounded. They have all this stuff. They ship it to wherever they are in Cleveland, or they drive. It was in Cleveland this year. All this stuff, and it's like, what are you going to do with 19 boxes of Sports Illustrated? It's like, where is this ultimately getting you?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it made me think, like, I'm sure when you're just kind of wandering America, you're always in the back of your head like, oh, would that work? Or do you not do that?
Yeah, I definitely walk by a lot of businesses and think, how is this a business? Like, how is this possible to stay in business? So I mean, I was just in Vancouver, and there was a guy who I guess was some sort of life coach, and he rented this whole storefront, and there was no one in there. It was just like a giant, it's like kind of a room like this, but 6 times the size.
Right.
He was just in there. It was just in a commercial space. It's just, sometimes I just don't, I'm fascinated by how people sometimes make money doing things.
That was Letterman's maybe second year on NBC. He had this famous thing where he went to it was either just lamps or just bulbs.
Mm-hmm.
And he went there, and then he went to another store, and there was a store called Just Lamps, another store called Just Bulbs, and he tried to unite them.
Funny.
But it was kind of this, the same kind of, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
How do you make money just doing this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I just don't know. I mean, people are very successful, and I don't know how they, like, I have no idea how you make money.
How I make money? Oh, you're turning it on me. I get ESPN paychecks.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So they just hire you to do everything.
Yeah, I'm like a hired gun.
That's good.
To provide content for them.
And you have to be kind of like, for sports, here's something I wonder too, because you're an expert on sports, or
Allegedly.
Yeah. But okay, so I mean, watching one game is 3 hours maybe.
Baseball, it's like 4 sometimes.
Right. So I mean, but there's so many games in so many different sports that happen in every day. How do you have a system to be efficient in getting all the sports news and keeping up to date? Because there's no way you watch every game.
Well, it depends. So, like, there's certain like with the NBA, there's certain nights where they'll have 13 games, and some of them will start at 7:30, and some of them will start. So you can kind of flip through and catch the fourth quarters of 8 different games.
Oh, okay.
TiVo stuff.
Yeah.
Like for football on Sundays, we'll watch the whole day of football, but I'll also TiVo the most important game, or DVR, I should say it's called now. Or you DVR Sunday Night Football, you can zoom through football in 45 minutes.
So you kind of fast forward through a lot of it.
Well, you gotta figure out a way to economize.
Yeah.
SportsCenter helps. All the ESPN.com sites like that obviously help. Baseball is the one that.
And you must have an amazing memory too, then.
Yeah, but only for certain things. Like,
well, names is important for sports, right?
Right. So sports, I have a great memory, but then one of my college buddies will be out and be like, "Remember that time?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." I don't remember things that involve my own life.
Oh yeah.
But I'll remember the 3 Larry Bird missed in the corner in the '87 playoffs or something. But I don't remember the 10-year reunion party my college roommates had. So I don't know. It's like your brain just stores. Your brain's like hoarders.
Yeah.
Just stores different things. What do you remember?
Nothing. That's why
it just goes away.
I'm terrible at remembering names a lot of the time, and even memories from growing up. I think compared to other people, I ask people sometimes, "What do you remember from? Do you remember when you were this age?" And I have some visual memories, but I don't remember things. I don't remember everything. Just like a series of moments.
Well, I'm always worried when I do podcasts that I'm going to bring up the same thing I brought up. Like, this is our second podcast.
Right.
That I'm going to bring up some whole thing that we talked about. Because usually I remember, but not 100. Once I pass 40, parts of your brain start, I guess, fading away.
Is that true?
A little bit.
Oh,
but I do feel like my memory was sharper. Well, because think about it.
How old are you now?
Your brain's like a nightclub, right?
Yeah.
And you can fit a lot of people in the nightclub. But
I've never heard this analogy.
Yeah, this is good. I'm excited for this one.
Have you said this before?
No, I think I just came up with it right now.
It sounds like you're very confident about it.
And eventually you hit capacity, and some people have to leave the nightclub. So I think those people are the memories.
Yeah.
So it's like you're adding stuff from 2009 to 2014, but you already had a full nightclub in your head.
Right.
So some people got to get pushed out. So those are some memories you haven't thought of in a long time.
Interesting. Yeah. You chose nightclub because you kind of could have
nightclub.
used
Well, it's a party in your brain.
location.
That analogy. Yeah, I could have used an airplane.
Right.
I could have used a sports arena.
Yes.
Yeah, a hotel.
I'm going to steal it, but change the location.
You can do whatever
your brain's kind of like a McDonald's, Right. It gets full, and then you have to let some people out.
You said when we were setting up earlier, you said you didn't think there would be a third season for a year.
Well, yeah,
Explain
we have the show was picked up for a third season, which is really cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I didn't have any doubt.
Oh, well, that's nice of you to say. Between season 1 and 2, it was a bit over a year. I think it was 14 months or something. But we only do 8 episodes a season. I think the network would want more, but it's a very tough show to make because of the elements of reality that are involved. And so, a normal show might take 4 days to shoot an episode, maybe 4 or 5 days. But I think ours takes a lot longer because we have these stories that we're kind of doing, but we also have to revolve around the schedules of real people and businesses. And oftentimes, you can shoot out a location in a normal TV show because it's just you shoot all the scenes there quickly, while you're there, and then you move on. But in ours, we actually have to go do things and then come back with the thing a lot of the times.
Could take 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it's spaced out, we'll shoot a segment over the course of, like that Claw of Shame episode was shot over the course of several months, I think, from the start of the setup, because we had to film the whole process, so we're going and shooting other segments and then dipping in to shoot a little bit there.
Yeah.
So, very difficult job for our AD to schedule it.
And your hairstylist, your hair's got your hair can't, what if you grew your hair out? Then it wouldn't fit in with the...
Right, so I try to limit the hairstyles I have.
Yeah, you got to be
to
certain length all
I was thinking of doing maybe like a total new style for the next season, like a Macklemore cut or something like that.
Or a Greg Brady perm.
Yeah.
Could work.
Maybe something new.
So you're doing 2 segments per show, and conceivably it could take you 8 weeks to just do
3
one show.
Most shows.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we do 1. But yeah, it just takes a longer time to shoot, and it's a very exhausting process because a lot of it's kind of a fishing expedition, and some stuff doesn't work out, so we have to burn some stuff. So it takes a bit longer to make then. So I'm happy when people like it, I guess, or if people like the show, it's cool because it takes so much effort. If people didn't, then, I'd just probably spiral into a depression.
Were you nervous when those first couple shows, did you feel like I could do this for a couple seasons, or did you think this could bomb spectacularly and I'll be gone?
That's how I kind of feel about everything.
Yeah. I
do. I just assume
it's going to end.
Yeah, and I always just feel like, I don't know how we're going to do this again, and that kind of... I wish I was a more confident human who could kind of walk around. Sometimes you have to fake confidence too, which I'm very good at. I can be like, But by the way, I know what I'm doing.
Nobody's confident. Everybody who does anything feels like whatever they just did is the last time they're ever going to pull it off.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the whole process.
I think when people also seem extremely confident...
That's dangerous.
And I think it seems a little bit silly when people act like that.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
So you finish this season, you're thinking oh, God, do I have 8 more episodes of me?
Exactly, yeah.
It's daunting.
Yeah. I have some ideas of things that I think I'd like to try. But the tough thing is, even if you come up with a great idea, it's a dice roll if it will work out,
What's your percentage of ones that you've done that you've just scrapped?
We have a pretty good percentage of segments that actually end up intact, but in each segment, there's usually a lot of scenes that will end up cutting because they don't work, or just moments.
So premises you haven't scrapped? You've scrapped a couple.
Yeah, we've definitely scrapped. We're probably maybe 70 to 80% we end up keeping. So that's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Are any of them watchable enough that there could be a DVD at some point with deleted segments that weren't good enough?
I guess up to Comedy Central if they want.
Come on, Comedy Central.
Deleted DVD. I'd love that. I'd love a physical.
That'd be great.
Thing, because that'd be cool.
Well, now you have 16 episodes. Why wouldn't that happen?
Yeah, that'd
Blu-ray.
Be great.
Something.
Just get your fans to petition.
I don't think it'll be a problem to sell Blu-ray.
That'd be cool. We definitely have. I mean, the best deleted stuff is kind of the stuff we had to cut out of the segments that actually do work.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because sometimes because the show has a certain pace to it, sometimes a lot of funny stuff will happen in a specific scene, but we can only show one moment.
It felt like the Pinks one could have been 10 minutes longer.
Oh, well, that's cool.
That guy just seemed like a comedy goldmine. I don't know if
there was a lot of stuff with him.
And Dumb Starbucks, I just personally wanted that to keep going. Some of your shows, you can tell you had to end the show because you only had a half hour. And that was one of those where I was like, I could have just kept watching that for another hour and a half.
Oh, that's cool.
I was so fascinated by, first of all, having a history with the show and obviously watching a few of these. But then to see this one idea you had just become like this phenomenon, and then you in the middle of it and news crews, and like I was just thinking, A, you must have been like slightly frightened, and then B, you must have been like, oh my God, this is like the ultimate. This is everything I ever wanted to happen with one of these things is now happening.
It was crazy. I mean, I kind of felt like I was in high school again or something.
Right.
We were driving to this press conference we were doing. It was it just, when things get out of your control like that and it becomes a thing that a lot of people are talking about or taking seriously.
Yeah.
It's really funny. And also, it's very crazy because every moment is unpredictable. You just don't know what's going to happen next. So
was that the one where like everyone in your family and every friend you had emailed you during that week?
After? Well, no one knew.
And when it came out that you were the dude?
Some people were like, oh, I should have known or something like that. But surprisingly, you know what I've gotten the most emails for is when I was on your show.
On the podcast?
Time. Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't know how cool you were.
No, I'm not. Not
like,
cool.
You're such a cool guy.
It's just a very downloaded podcast.
I mean, people think very highly of you.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear.
People were amazed. They're like, I can't believe you did that show.
Well, when you do the Blu-ray,
Bill's so cool.
When you do the Blu-ray, you can put both podcasts on it.
Right.
We'll give you permission.
Maybe, yeah.
Comedy Central. You can have both video podcasts.
We'll have you do commentary on one of the episodes.
Oh, my God. I would love to do the Pinks.
You and your daughter, I'd love to have
her commentary would just be, rewind the shark thing again. Rewind the shark thing again.
That would actually be great to do. Yeah. Have kids do commentary on an episode.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You have a couple that would have lended itself really well. What percentage of your life now is people just suggesting Nathan for you ideas?
Like a very low percentage.
Very low?
Because I sleep 8 hours, and that's
so that's 16.
That's like
16
definitely I take that out. No,
33%'s gone.
I sleep. It happens, when people will kind of say things once in a while. My dad mainly.
Oh, your dad's barraging
he gets
you with
really
ideas?
into it. Yeah, he's written out ideas and sent me kind of printed out, like he's mailed me like
that should be a show. That should be a special show. Nathan's
I keep encouraging him to do. He's a very creative guy and he's retired now, but I keep encouraging him to do things because he does have all these very silly ideas. And I can tell he wants like an outlet.
That sounds like my dad. My dad is also retired and thinks that he should have his own podcast on the Grantland Network.
Yeah. You should give him. Give him one test episode and have people vote.
I'm like, what's the podcast? You complaining about Red Sox players with like your neighbor? Like, I need more. They never have that second step to the idea.
Yeah.
It's just, I want a podcast. Well, what's going to happen on the podcast?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it to him. Maybe your dad and my dad, who could just be two retired guys.
It would be very
Your dad
weird.
could pitch Nathan for you ideas to my dad, who will then complain about the Red Sox. And we'll call it two retired guys.
My dad would definitely do it. Even though he probably hasn't heard of
my dad or anything.
Yes, but I definitely think I could convince him to.
Didn't your dad have one idea that you were like, you know what, I'm going to do that just because it's my dad?
No, I don't do things like that. But I definitely give him
Father's Day.
He's definitely had some ideas that are close to being pretty good, or like have the hint of something good.
A whiff of potential.
Yeah. I'm always he's always had funny. It's funny because he's a social worker and he knows what's right to say and what's not. But when he tries to be funny, he goes this area that's like very inappropriate sometimes, or like borderline racist or offensive.
Well, how old is he?
64 47, 68.
Oh yeah, that's almost
67,
as old as my dad,
67.
yeah. Different generation.
Yeah, but it's funny because when someone, it's like when he tries to be funny, he changes in like his sense of taste like goes way out. I think it's an effort to think. I think part of the thinking is that you got to be edgy or to be funny.
Cross the line.
Yeah, so I think that's part of it. But it's really funny to hear him talk about it.
What was the worst idea anyone's ever given you for the show? Do you remember? You have a bad memory. You probably won't.
Yeah, I mean, I zone out when people are, talking to me half the time, so I don't.
You should start writing down the worst ones for our third podcast.
I mean,
Season
the worst
3 in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, I could come back to you with a list, but I don't. Do you think that?
Just remember the worst one. Yeah,
I'm probably going to forget you asked me to do.
You'll forget it in 5 minutes.
Do you have any ideas?
No, I do think you should go to the Sports Collectors Convention, and you will get an idea from that. I'm not saying I have the idea. I'm saying you should just walk around, and I think your brain will almost explode, and you'll come up with an idea.
I can't be sure, but that might be the worst idea.
It's the worst idea you've heard lately.
No, I'm just kidding. That's actually this is my effort to like.
No, it's good.
Keep things not awkward now. And
well, what about girls?
No, it's very good.
What about girls? Now that you're a TV star.
Well, you mean,
do you have a girlfriend?
I'm married.
You're married? Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem for girls.
Well, not a problem.
Not a problem because you're married. Yeah. How long have you been married?
3 years. Yeah.
Did we talk about this the last time? I don't think we did.
No. Yeah.
Where'd you meet this person?
In Canada. Yeah.
What does she think of this? I am married. What does she think of this whole thing? Because she knew you back when.
Well, it's interesting to, see the process and see, I don't know. I guess it's hard to get outside perspective because it's probably more normal for this person who's with you because they see you every day.
Right.
It's like when you get when your hair grows or you gain weight or something, if you're with that person,
they're used to it
the whole time. They don't notice that you got fat.
True.
Perhaps. I guess I'm not good with analogies either.
Well, listen, I came up with the nightclub.
It's kind of like a marriage is kind of like a nightclub.
Your experiences are
you go in, which is your choice to get married, and then
What about are you getting offers to do other things, like a movie? Or I know how this works, where if something starts to take off, then all of a sudden
tons
agents.
I'm rich now.
But
no.
Weird agents come and hey, what about this? And
there's always things I think like that. There's always, I think there's always things that happen.
Why are you being so coy?
I zoned out for a sec, to be honest. Sorry, you were asking, do I get offers for things? Yeah, sometimes people want to do things or they say, do you have any ideas for this? And so
a movie.
Yeah, I'm working on other things, and it's hard because I'm not good at dividing my focus well.
You're not a multitasker.
In some ways, I am. Like if I'm on my phone and like going to the bathroom or something, I can do that.
Right.
But like, but I'm trying to, explore some ideas outside of the show too, see if I can get some other stuff going on.
Well, you love magic.
I love magic.
You called a year ago, a magic renaissance. And I think there is some magic show that I heard about on TV, but I don't think it's a major show. So it's
a long process.
It's a long journey.
A lot of magic is still bad.
Did we? I don't know if we.
There was David Blaine's.
Yeah, we didn't
special.
talk about that.
Oh, did you see that?
Of course I saw it. That owned the night on social media. People went nuts for that. Oh, yeah. People went nuts for that.
I thought it was great.
Too.
Yeah, I thought.
It's awesome. I actually thought the way he used celebrities with his magic stuff and was able to elicit what they're actually like versus like the celebrity version of those people that are on late night shows or whatever. I was the most fascinated by that.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting to see just people that I don't feel like they let you behind the curtain.
It was cool too. I feel like, not to go into magic or stuff again.
No, please do.
These days, you see a lot of magic on TV, and I think there's a certain, I guess I think the audience takes things for granted, and I saw this show that Chris Angel did, and they like literally fast forward through the setup.
Yeah.
They fast forward through to get to like the trick part, and they do all these cuts and stuff, and it just is like there's rock music playing the whole time, and
Yeah.
it takes away, I think, from, because half the trick is just the setup and you believing it's what you're seeing is real, so you don't want to have too many cuts and all that. But in David Blaine's special, he shot it all like one shot, like no editing, no music, just these long kind of takes, and I thought it was very refreshing.
I loved it.
For my personal magic tastes.
Right. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I think it makes, every time I talk about magic, people are like, you really like magic? It's like, I don't know why I keep doing it. I think it makes me lame.
Well, if you were a multitasker, you'd have some movie script ready about some magician that would be loosely based on you, and it would be like your version of Norm Macdonald's Dirty Work movie or something like a low release, didn't do that well, but becomes like a huge cult favorite. I feel like that would be one of your lanes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Thinking of doing something maybe that takes place in a nightclub now.
A nightclub, maybe a magician in a nightclub.
Yeah,
like Sandberg's Hot Rod movie. I don't think did that well. But it's kind of aged nicely. There's good people in it.
Mm-hmm.
Kids can watch it.
Yeah.
I'm for anything that I can watch, but my kids also like. My kids love Sandler.
Yeah.
Which is funny because people have turned on Sandler in a lot of ways.
I love him too.
And Sandler's movies, they think it's like Sandler and then everyone else from a comedy standpoint, and you totally get why he has.
I have not turned on him.
I don't think I have either.
I like what he does a lot.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. There's something very charming, even though, some movies are better than others. There's something pretty charming about just doing, it's clear he's just doing what he finds funny and kind of doesn't care.
And he wants to entertain his kids.
It's super silly, a lot of the movies that he does. So, I don't know. Did you see Jack and Jill?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I can't really defend Jack and Jill.
So I know it was like very hated.
It's tough. My kids loved it.
The love story between him as a woman and Al Pacino was kind of incredible. And Al Pacino was really funny and like played it very straight.
Yep.
And they just kind of had this straight
chemistry,
kind of romantic comedy story, but it was Al Pacino and Adam Sandler as a woman. And that part really got to me.
Not since Cruising has Al Pacino had chemistry with another man like that. Probably haven't seen Cruising. Just Go With It, which is a movie he made with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
And Andy Roddick's wife, whatever her name is, the supermodel. She plays the super hot supermodel that whatever. But Aniston and Sandler, it's the best Aniston performance I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was shocked.
Huh.
Yeah, I'll half defend Sandler.
He
knows his he knows his lane. I think he could have made a couple, really movies that the critics would have maybe, but he doesn't care. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, he wears shorts all the time, just hanging out.
What's the Canadian comedian power rankings right now? Who's won?
I think there are 0 on the list.
Stop! Who are you talking about? Aykroyd.
Oh, you mean who's in?
Yeah.
Like from a Canadian's perspective, or
Mike Myers, Aykroyd.
Well, there's a lot of funny. Yeah, I mean, power rankings. I mean, this is I don't know.
It's a tough question.
Well, I mean, Jim
Who's
Carrey.
number one for you? Jim Carrey.
Well, who do I like? It's personal.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people in Canada that are really funny doing stuff now that no one knows. But there's not too much stuff being made in Canada.
But that's always the case with Canada, though. Canada is like, ever since SCTV, and even before that, Lorne Michaels is Canadian, who created SNL.
I mean, I know I talked about Magic Renaissance. I also feel something about Jim Carrey. I love Jim Carrey. I loved Ace Ventura was the first VHS kind of movie I bought with my own money. And I loved it so much. But I kind of feel like he's not really doing that type of comedy as much anymore, but I kind of feel like no one is in a weird way. Like he did this like really silly, like slapstick type stuff. And I kind of feel like someone else is going to come up soon and do that same type of thing.
Interesting.
I feel like
Harry
there's a room
2.0.
for it. Yeah. So that's my other prediction. Is like magic will be cool again in like 6 years.
Second Jim Carrey.
Now. And then like someone else who's kind of doing that same type of comedy in movies and stuff.
We're about to do SNL week on Grantland.
Oh.
And one of the things I was thinking was the show is really strong from 88 to 92. It was kind of like the second renaissance of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the people that are on it, like Carvey and Myers and Hartman. Just the cast was loaded.
Yeah.
But the writers that were on it were just amazing. It was the best writers they had other than the first few years. Conan O'Brien,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Smigel, Odenkirk,
Mm-hmm.
Terry and Bonnie Turner. Like, you go on down the line, it was just all of these people were fantastic and super overqualified to be SNL writers and went on to do other stuff beyond it. And all those people were raised on the first incarnation of the show, right? So they grew up and they were the kids of that show, and they grew up and they wanted to work for it. And people like Sandler and Farley, they grew up on the show, they wanted to be on it. So you would think by your Jim Carrey theory, I don't want you to zone out because this is all coming back.
It's a bit too late.
Your Jim Carrey theory, kids raised on Jim Carrey should now be of age to be Jim Carrey 2.0, right? Like if you're 7 when Ace Ventura came out,
Yeah.
and then you're experiencing the Jim Carrey era,
Yeah.
you're right now about to become a famous comedian, or you're right in the wheelhouse. You're like 28.
If
You know what I mean? You're between 25 and 28.
so, you're saying people are going to.
Generation of Jim Carrey, I'm saying.
Yeah. It's true. I mean,
So your prediction, I think it's your best one since the Magic prediction, which hasn't come through yet.
it's weird to say. I mean, it's more specific. I mean, someone just has to kind of like come up and do that. But I kind of feel like I crave it in a weird way.
I'm
like-
ready too.
Don't you ever watch a movie and you're like, I want to see someone just falling all over the place?
Well, Farley was like he always wanted to be Belushi. He grew up on Belushi. He wanted to be Belushi. He was on the show. He had the same excess issues. Now there's somebody who wants to be probably the next Farley. I'm ready for another Farley too. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
The over-the-top fat guy who, as soon as he enters the room, he's hilarious, but is also a physical comedian.
Yeah.
Has all these different gears. Like, we haven't seen that person since Farley, and before him, we hadn't seen it since Belushi. Although Belushi was better than that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
We're due.
There's definitely room for it.
We're due. Well, someday there will be somebody weaned on you.
It's kind of like it'd be funny if there. I wonder if you like talk to like psychics about this type of stuff, if they would have like any sort of opinion about like comedy.
You never dabbled into the psychics for a segment, did you? Or did I do it?
Well, we
Am I
did do
forgetting
something in the first episode this year. I did this segment where my idea for a realtor was that she should sell
You
only
talked to
ghost-free
one.
homes, and a
Right.
psychic helped make sure there were no ghosts in the house.
But you've never tried to
I've never gone
do a
to
psychic
help
business. Yeah.
a psychic, yes. But I've spent a lot of time. I was kind of obsessed with that world for a while. I think when I wasn't working, one time I was just looking at all the videos of psychics, and I made this website for a fake psychic where I was the psychic, and for no reason, I don't know. I just made a website of a.
This
fake
sounds like a movie, possibly too.
yeah. But it was this whole kind of character that I had and a whole website that I just made. And I
Did he
just
come
put
back?
it online. And I could chat with people through this. There's like a chat feature. I don't do it anymore, but it just exists. And people still come across the site sometimes and are.
What's the site called?
It's Ronald Shube.
Ronald Shube.
Yeah. Is the site. I don't know. It's so silly.
It's really not, though.
And then it just exists there. And then, sometimes people email questions and.
To Ronald Shube.
Yeah, just kind of.
SHOOB?
OUB.
SHOUB.
Yeah.
Ronald Shube.
Yeah. I shouldn't have talked about this. Now people are going to look this up. I don't even know.
They'll definitely look
if
it
it's
up.
still, oh my God.
When I was working on Kimmel's show, the first year we had guest hosts.
Uh-huh.
And we had this guest host called, I think his name is John Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Big psychic. Huge.
Yeah, he's the guy who.
Kind of a phenomenon at
He
the
had that
time.
show. Yeah.
Right. So we had him on, and we were doing the show in the El Capitan Theater, and there was always this urban legend, who knows if it was true, that it was the El Capitan was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this part, the stairway, and I got to say, like, we heard weird noises and stuff every once in a while, and I think they still do. Like, there was something to it.
Mm-hmm.
So John Edward comes in, and Jimmy's like, this will be great. We'll have him figure out if the theater's haunted. He didn't want to do it.
Why?
We don't know. It was a bust. John Edwards was a bust. He was always about, like, what he couldn't do. And he was just shooting ideas down, and it became quickly clear that, our takeaway was like, this guy's kind of full of shit.
I think there's different categories of psychics. The conclusion I've come to is that I think there's people who genuinely believe they have, like, a intuitive power and kind of advise people based on that, but they really do believe it. But those are the people that don't really make outlandish or crazy claims. They keep them fairly small and what they sense, I guess. But then there are the people that I feel like know what they do is a total scam.
Yes.
And they are the ones that are the most famous because they make the biggest claims, I think. So I think not everyone falls into this category of the scamming people, but...
Have you ever met a psychic that you felt definitely was a psychic? Because I did once. It was messed up.
It's weird because at the same time, I think a little bit of me is unsure, or I wouldn't want a psychic to say something to me like, in 5 years, like, you're going to...
Right.
Like
something terrible.
Paraplegia. I don't know. Like, if they said something like that to me, and then I just don't want to. I feel like I wouldn't be able to get it out of my mind.
Right.
And I guess that implies that I must, like, be a little bit believe, but no one's ever. I've never been like, wow, that person's really accurate. Like, I don't know.
I'm afraid of psychics and Ouija boards.
Yeah.
There's just enough there in both worlds that I'd be afraid I found out the wrong piece of information about
psychics
my
and
future.
Ouija boards.
Yeah, I don't like either of those things. In the forest, I don't really like either.
Yeah, it's scary, right?
I don't like the forest. Well, that's why I wouldn't watch Game of Thrones. I don't like to go in the forest.
I grew up right next to a big forest.
Yeah, the forest is creepy.
During the day, it's okay.
Tuesday, 10.
I wouldn't go at night because there's no light.
Don't go. Yeah, don't. It's
and
scary.
People have been attacked and killed in the forest near me.
Forest is creepy. Tuesday, tomorrow.
Tuesday, yes.
Comedy Central. What time is it? East Coast time?
Season finale.
10:30?
10:30. I think both coasts maybe, but it might be 7:30.
The last one.
Different. Check your time, but it's a good one, I think. Even if you haven't seen the others, check it out. I think you'll like it.
We'll catch up on all of them. All of them are online now, right?
I think a lot of them
Comedy Central
are
site?
online on the Comedy Central site.
Yeah, the big Blu-ray coming out that we just
Maybe
announced.
on demand. Yeah, we got the big Blu-ray coming out
Loaded
soon.
with deleted scenes, podcasts.
Yeah,
The Psychic.
every BS report.
Ronald Shube is
BS
going to
report
be on it.
extras on there. Deleted scenes from my appearances on the BS report.
What about Ronald Shube?
Hidden behind the scenes footage, like me walking into the
You
BS
parking.
report, me parking, Bill and I talking like before the show.
Yeah, all that's going to
Really
be on
great
there.
features.
It's going to be great. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Congrats on everything.
Congrats on
Really-
your Emmy.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But seriously, congrats on everything. It's been really fun watching this show take off, and it's my favorite show. My
Thank you.
favorite out of all the comedy shows right now, my number one.
That's amazing. for
It's
you to
great.
say.
It's
Thank you,
really
Bill.
good. Keep it up. I hope you don't run out of ideas. I don't think
So
you will,
too.
though.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
Hey, what you got there, Goldick?
The new Subway Chipotle chicken melt with guacamole.
Man, that looks good.
Yeah, this new guac is really bringing the flavor.
Got one for me too, right?
Well, yes and no. Mostly no. Well, really, all no.
Try the irresistible new Subway Chipotle Chicken Melt with guacamole, juicy grilled chicken strips with Monterey cheddar, Chipotle Southwest sauce, and new guacamole made from ripe Hass avocados with just a hint of jalapeno. Subway, eat fresh.